Hello, my name is Zephyr. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I am currently the first runner-up for IML, and I was last year's Mr. Eagle NYC, so that would be 2025. We were kind of all asked to bring up topics, and I forgot what I said, so I have my notes in front of me. Forgive me. But I wanted to talk about the intersections, the complications of both safety and visibility. When I ran for Mr. Eagle, not last, but the previous October, one thing that was important to me is I knew that I was in a position to make a lot of good trouble and positive change to include more people in the trans community in here. But I also knew most people at the Eagle did not know that I was trans. So I knew that when I got on stage, I was in a sense kind of coming out again, even though I was already in a gay space, but not everybody knew necessarily that I was trans. It's not necessarily that I was stealth, so much as I passed pretty well, and it's not always the first thing I feel like I need to say to someone because it's not the most relevant thing about me. But when running, I knew it was something that I wanted to bring up because it is something I'm proud of and it's something that I wanted to rock proudly. So even though I was already in this gay space, I was I'm going to say something that is potentially going to make me other, that is potentially going to bring a certain amount of hate. And honestly, I didn't really experience that. I will say that I think partially because I was the first trans winner, but we were kind of overdue to have a trans Mr. Eagle here. So it felt kind of like it was about time. And because I'd spent years just kind of establishing myself as just another person in the bar, it didn't necessarily change so much. Because if it came up, I wasn't going to lie and say that I wasn't trans. But people just kind of knew me as a person who was here. I came to the Eagle the first time in 2019, and then the world shut down, so I didn't really get here for a bit. And then I started going regularly during Chris Kelly's title year, because he was throwing a party with no cover. And I work in nonprofit, and that applies to my wallet as well. So I was able to go a lot and really show up and get to know people, and I would spend a lot of time just talking to so many people and getting to know them and becoming more and more comfortable in my kink and other identity, and also very slowly buying new items of gear because again, my wallet is also nonprofit. So I think because I was established, it was a great way for me to avoid a lot of the hate. I don't know exactly why. Some of it's definitely just the fact that I'm lucky, but it's overall gone quite well title-wise. But it's also, being a title holder isn't my only form of advocacy. My day job is in HIV testing, prevention, and outreach. So I'm kind of always working on educating people, and because of that, I was oh, what is something that I can speak on very well that might be helpful for this panel? And it is kind of things not to say to a trans person the first time. Partially because I'm resilient enough that I am no longer bothered. I'm just kind of annoyed. I'm actually, you can stop apologizing for getting my pronouns wrong now. This is actually worse than you just misgendering me at this point. Because now suddenly this is all about you, when this was just me kind of cluing you in, letting you know that I want you to know me better by correcting you. It's not a punishment to be oh, you got my pronouns wrong. It's hey, if you want to know me well, you should know what my pronouns are. I think that's another reason why a lot of people didn't necessarily know I was trans here, is because people would use he pronouns, and I was I don't know you well enough to want to deal with this right now, because you get some very ridiculous scenes. So if someone corrects you on the pronouns, you just say, okay, correct it and move on. If you make a big deal, it's worse. If you're working on getting intimate with someone, you don't necessarily want to assume what language someone uses for each part of their genitalia, because some people might have what you do or what you don't expect, and kind of just engaging respectfully, following chemistry, and even being what do you want me to call this? I also believe this also just goes around in general for consent as well. Sometimes when you're in these hypersexualized spaces, you meet people and they're basically like, grab my dick, this is shaking my hand, and it's like, well, it's nice to meet you. My name is. But there's other ways of sort of like building up to that consent that can be more or less awkward. Like, I think more people should ask the question, can I kiss you? Because I think that's actually like really powerful, just asking for permission, but also like expressing that interest. I also think that there's ways of doing it through like prolonged eye contact and approaching. That can also give a lot of chances for somebody to indicate a lack of interest. So all these practices that we have around consent can also be extended to like just interacting with a trans person, because the second part of that word is also still very important, person. Yeah, so very fun, lighthearted thing. Something else I wanted to talk about is like, if you want to get more trans people at your event because you're like, I want more diversity, I want to show like people exactly how it is, how to get more trans people in, there's like a few things you can do. One is you can have somebody involved in the community, ideally like a trans person in the trans community, be one of the hosts of your events. If they know who you are, they are more likely to want to go there, including trans people, compensated or with permission, using their photos on flyers, indicates like this is the type of person we want to see at this party by advertising it in that. Gender neutral bathrooms is honestly not that hard. You just put down bathroom. Like if there's only urinals, you can be like urinals only. Because like someone might want to use the urinal that may not necessarily be assumed to be a man, and like that's fine. It's literally just a toilet. Half the people aren't washing their hands anyways. So
No.
Little things like that, and like if you're able to like find ways to get trans people in for free, the word of mouth is one of the most powerful resources in the trans community. Like we all kind of know each other. We all talk shit about everything. We will hear about it and we will let other people know, and that also goes for good things.
There we go. When you